This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com with Machiko San, who is an SWE Fury competitor and has wrestled in a lot of other companies as well. I believe she's part of the SWE Sweethearts Brawl coming up in the Dallas area, February the 6th. I'm not sure your opponent yet. Do you know who you're fighting?
I'm actually not wrestling at the moment.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I will be there. I haven't been wrestling pretty much since the whole COVID situation happened. Just trying to keep safe, and just in the meantime, just try to get in better shape and shake off a little bit of rust, like with just a little involvement and whatnot. And then hopefully soon I'll be actually in the ring again, like doing full matches.
Okay. Because I think you were at one point on one of the posters, but maybe they've changed it since then.
Well, no, I'm gonna be there, but
Just doing autographs.
and getting involved somehow, like I always do. I just don't know exactly who I'm gonna be with or what I'm doing yet.
Well, there is probably 3 or 4 of your matches from the classic SWE Fury episodes on this channel, and I think you're a really good wrestler. Is wrestling something you always wanted to do?
Yeah, for the most part, especially since I was a kid. Oh, okay. I get the format now. My bad. I was like, wait, you disappeared. Anywho, yeah, I've been wanting to do it since I was a kid. There was a brief period of time where I wanted to be a drummer as well. But wrestling is just something that's always found its way back in my life, and it's been going on 10 years since I've broken into the business. Actually, almost 11. Wow. So yeah, I broke in as a valet, and I was a valet for the first 2 or 3 years. And then I got into the ring under the wing of Killer Tim Brooks, and a promotion I previously worked for in Austin, and then it just went from there. And I couldn't think of a better way to spend the last 11 years of my life, to be honest with you.
Did you do any other sports before getting into wrestling?
I played tennis a bit in high school, but that's about it, honestly. I came in super unathletic. I was actually like 180 pounds, about 34% body fat. So when I got into the ring for the first time, it was a huge reality check of I need to get in better shape. And wrestling has changed my life for the better in a lot of ways, my health being probably the first reason.
Yeah, I've seen some of your older pictures on Twitter, which people can follow you on Twitter. I'll let you say what that handle is. But you looked like you put on a lot of muscle since you started,
Uh,
especially in your legs. You obviously do a lot of leg work.
yes, leg day is one of my favorite days in the gym. Even when I was overweight, I carried a lot of weight in my legs and hip areas. So to be able to gain weight down there really isn't that hard for me. Um, so yeah, I take pride in my legs and my strength by far.
What's your training regime like? I did notice on your YouTube channel that people can look up. It's under your name. You do have a workout video on there. It looks like you train pretty hard.
Yes, I do. As of lately, I haven't really been training, or honestly, I haven't really been as motivated just with everything that's gone on in 2020. And I know I'm not the only one that can say that. Um, However, yes, when I do hit the gym, I do train hard. And as far as my leg workouts go, I like to split my leg days into two. I will do hamstrings and glutes one day and quads another day later on in the week. And I found it to give me the best results.
Now, you have kind of a Japanese or Asian sounding name. Is that what your ethnic background is, or is that part of the gimmick?
Not a gimmick. My mom's actually from Okinawa, Japan, so I am part Japanese. Machiko is actually shoot name. It's my real name. And then San is just like a respectful, just kind of like, in Hispanic terms, if you call somebody Mia or Mija, that's what San is. So that's why I just kind of go by that. But yeah, Machiko is my real name.
Now, the blue hair. I noticed you've had a lot of different hair colors in the various matches I've seen that you've done. Is that just something you like to do, mix it up a little bit to stand out?
Well, yes, I've been keeping with the blue and red color scheme for a while. My hair is actually not supposed to be this blue. It was a mistake that was made when I got my hair done last. I'm letting my roots grow out. It's not that good looking right now because I am going to fix it before February 6th Don't know exactly what I'm going to do with it yet, but I've been sticking with the red and blue for a while. It matches my wrestling gear. It's two colors I really like being put together. I just like how opposite they are. And for a lot of other reasons is why I chose those colors. But yeah, I've been sticking with that for a while, but it's been fire hair. I've had black. I've had whole red. I've had blonde. Yeah, it's kind of fun to play around with my hair a bit.
There's a fan on here, Ibzan, that wants to know if you've ever met Alundra Blaze.
I have not met Alundra Blaze, and if I have, it was probably a while ago in passing. But I can't recall ever meeting her, honestly.
I was talking to Tex McKenzie, Super Tex, who is one of the contenders in SWE Fury, and he was telling me that you were trained by Killer Tim Brooks, who unfortunately passed away last year. What was that training like?
It was pretty rough. I mean, very old school mentality. I pretty much got all my basics covered by him and then some. And I was also valeting for his promotion, the NAWA that he ran out in the barn, is what we called it. I did get a bit more training through other people. I pretty much grabbed anybody I could to grab, like to get in the ring with. But training with Killer was different. You know, he pushed me, man, like to the point where, I mean, like I said, I was out of shape too. So he was definitely helping me. Like, you need to get in better shape. Just running the same drills over and over and over, pretty much until I got it perfect. And it was sore on me. But it was great just hearing from him, hearing him talk. He always saves some time after training sessions just to tell us things. And I felt like that's where I learned the most. And I am very blessed to be able to say I was trained by him. Losing him back in July was really hard. And it hit like no other death. So God rest his soul.
Yeah, I posted the clip on the Hannibal TV of the awards ceremony that SWE did for Tim Brooks, which I think may have been his last TV appearance before his passing. He was known as a really great heel. Did he teach you anything specifically about being a heel? Because I noticed you're more often than not a heel as well.
Yeah, I broke in as a heel actually when I was valeting. So he definitely taught me a lot in, like I said, valeting for his promotion and being that ringside manager who's, you know, a heel and paired with heels. He definitely taught me a lot. Absolutely.
Now, as far as your relationship with Super Tex, I know you've been in some factions with him, but you guys seem to be fairly close. Where does that stem from?
I mean, we've known each other for a while, obviously, you know, over the last 10 or so years. We've been wrestling in the same state, but it's been pretty much over the last 3 or 4. We just, I don't know, we gravitated towards each other. And I think what really helped was whenever we got put together with DTF at Metroplex Wrestling. And we just started working together more. And then, of course, after the show, we'd go to the bar that sponsors and just got to talking more and everything like that. And it just, we clicked. And he's no longer just a best friend, he's family. I mean, he hangs out with my sister all the time, and she's obviously my favorite person on the planet, but him and I hang out with her all the time. He's been at family gatherings with my mom and brother and sister-in-law, and, you know, he's family at this point. Like, I love that guy to death.
He told me to ask you about some story involving cats fighting.
Which one? Like, I mean, I'm in my guest room right now, so my cats wouldn't, you know, leave me alone during this because my phone would probably fall over and you'd hear me cuss and yell. But I don't know if you're talking about maybe his cat wanting to fight me when he was a kitten. Or
I think you just meant your cats are always getting into scraps.
yeah, I mean, they've calmed down now. That's, you know, what happens when you actually get them fixed. They weren't fixed for a while because I was breeding them for a good moment, but I mean, now they're just great. I mean, one of my cats, she's still, you know, kind of an asshole, but other than that, they just like to get in my face and hog my bed when I try to sleep. So
There's a fan on here, Jefferson E. White, says that Keith Lee was also trained by Killer Tim Brooks. Did you ever have interactions with Keith Lee?
he was one of the people I managed when I worked for Killer Tim Brooks. when I first broke in. I've known Keith Lee pretty much since I broke in. But I valeted for him and a friend of ours named Lee Feng. We were the Asian Nation because we're all either full-blooded or part Asian. Keith Lee is actually part Chinese, and Lee Feng's full-blooded Chinese, me being part Japanese. Killer thought it'd be a great idea to stick us together, and there were some fun times to be had. And I'm super proud of Keith and his successes. We still talk quite often. We still, check on each other and everything like that. I mean, it's amazing that he's where he's at, and he's only going to be better. If he's not in the Hall of Fame in the future, I'd be shook. Like, that's his future right there.
Have you ever had any WWE tryouts yet?
I have done extra talent work that did give me the opportunity to do like a dark match prior to doors opening, but I've never actually been to the Performance Center for a tryout.
For the extra talent job that you did, was that just you filling out their recruit form and then them bringing you in, or did somebody in particular hook you up with that?
I actually had somebody in particular hook me up with that, actually. And it wasn't until way later where I was like, oh, wait, I need to create an account. I had no idea. And so I created an account because that's also how they reach out to you for Performance Center tryouts. But no, I did have a friend hook me up with that for sure.
What was that experience like? I'm going to guess that was when they came to the Dallas area.
Yes, Dallas, pretty much all over Texas. Because for those who don't know how it usually works is, when they do, the Monday, Tuesday dates, they're typically not in the same city, of course. So if I'm doing one nearby in Texas, I'm usually having to go to this city and that city that weekend, or if it's pay-per-view weekend and it's 3 cities, a couple of times it's led me up to Wichita, Kansas as well. I guess they just do it by some zone. I don't know exactly how they do it. So it does involve some traveling, hotel stays, carpooling with people and whatnot. But man, it's crazy, just growing up watching it all the time. And then you finally get to experience what it's like in the back and everything like that. And, in my case, I was actually able to have a couple matches for them. So being able to do anything inside that ring, it's wild, but good times. I mean, I feel like the matches I had were solid. I had really good feedback. And yeah, it's just crazy. It's a wild ride, man.
What's it like back there as far as when they put you in matches? Are you nervous or do you feel at home in the ring? Because I know sometimes it can be pretty sudden. They'll just say, okay, we're going to look at the extras now. You and you get in there. And other times they'll give you a chance to go over the match a little bit before you get in there and do it in front of the agents.
Well, they actually just they would tell us in advance, just pair up just in case. It was kind of disheartening the first time I did extra talent work for them because I was actually the only female, and they don't allow intergender wrestling when it comes to tryout matches or anything like that. So I just was kind of like, I was kind of sad about that. But they did give me the opportunity. They were like, hey, if you could call somebody to come in who has an up-to-date physical and blood work, we'll let them come by tomorrow for SmackDown tapings. And I couldn't get a hold of anybody that was ready to go for it on a last minute call. But they let us know ahead of time, like whether they have time for us or not. They're just always like, prepare yourselves, like link up with somebody, and that gives us plenty of time to put together a 5-minute match. You know what I mean?
I'm surprised nobody jumped at that opportunity. That's crazy. You would think that people would drop everything at that kind of opportunity because it's so hard to get tryouts these days.
Yeah, I mean, again, last minute, I understand some people have, jobs or families to take care of or whatnot, there was 3 girls I hit up locally. I think one of which she didn't answer the phone. And then the other 2 either didn't have up-to-date blood work, or I think the other one had to work, or she was injured or something. Like, I think she had just gotten injured like the weekend prior, and she was so upset. She was like, damn it, why do I have to get injured a few days ago? And it was just unfortunate, but I had the opportunity next time I was there. So
Did they give you any feedback ever? Like, did they sit you down and say you need to work on this, or did they say like keep doing what you're doing and we'll continue to look at you?
they more so said that to me. you know, they didn't really, they gave because I've had 3 matches for them, and they gave the other girls I wrestled feedback. As far as me, I think the first match I had, I didn't realize how big that ring was until I was actually wrestling in it. And they told me, the one little comment they made, they're like, you just have to make that adjustment. You know, not every ring is going to be 18 by 18. I'm like, I know. It's just, but other than that, I mean, the next time I got in that ring, I was aware. And they watched so many matches, and they were actually really good with giving all the critiques, considering there's like, 10 matches they just watched. How are they going to remember the first one? And they would sit us all together, and he'd be like, you did this, or you need to work on that. But my feedback for the most part was pretty good. I'm happy to say, honestly.
Danny McGinn is watching on here, and he says, "This is tremendous. When did you first witness professional wrestling, and when did you get the quote unquote bug for wrestling?"
I mean, I'm an Attitude Era kid, so watching, my favorite angle in pay-per-view was definitely the invasion angle, because I just loved that Stone Cold Steve Austin became my favorite wrestler. I just love that he can give the middle finger to the boss and authorities, and just, had that I do what I want attitude. Just him hearing that glass break, hearing that crowd reaction, just the biggest pop I think I've ever seen in professional wrestling was that. And I just continued forth. I remember my grandparents always taking me and my sister to our local electronics store, because my grandfather worked on computers and cars. And every time he would take us there, my grandmother would take us to the DVD section and be like, okay, you and your sister can pick out a DVD. We'd always pick the older pay-per-views that we could pick up and go back and watch. And um, I fell off on wrestling a bit after Guerrero passed away. It was just a huge heartbreak. I started getting more into music, and whenever I was in my late teens, my last couple years of high school, I got back into wrestling. I was going to indie shows with my good friends and met a lot of people, and then I just kind of like it resparked, my love for wrestling. And sooner or later, I made friends, like I said, with wrestlers and everything like that, and one of which booked a spot show, and he was like, "Hey, I want you to valet my friend Lee Fang." He's like, "I want you to valet my friend Lee. Would you be interested?" I was like, "Yeah, like, why wouldn't I be? Like, just for old time's sake." I didn't think that I would actually like get that bug again and that itch, but once I did that first show and it was in front of like 20 people, but I didn't care. It just felt great. I was like, "Oh my god, I want to do it in front of 50 people. I want to do it in front of 100 people. I want to do it on TV." Like all these things, and it just, you know, it's just there, man. Like I never thought in a million years that I'd come back full circle. I just feel like I was like meant for this business.
Now, you're a little young for Miss Elizabeth, but Mike D wants to know if you idolized Miss Elizabeth or Ivory growing up.
I mean, not that they were bad. Don't get me wrong. Great women in the industry. My favorites were definitely Trish Stratus and Lita. I mean, they were my top two. Victoria was also a huge favorite of mine. I was, but just Trish's like stardom and her glow alongside Lita's attitude and personality, like that's what I pretty much looked up to in my time. And what I loved about Trish too is that she had that valet career. She learned under the wing of WWE. Like she started off as a valet, and you can just see her progressionally getting better and better. And now she's this legend, and be able to see that progress. It just reminds me, not that I started with the WWE as a valet like she did, but it just reminds me of my story, I guess you can say. And I would say that's who I idolize the most, honestly.
Brent McKenzie, who we were just talking about, says to ask you about Fireball on WrestleMania weekends.
Knew he was gonna ask something stupid. Okay, so the story behind that. Everybody knows that, or at least everybody that knows me and Brent well enough, knows that we can polish off pretty much a bottle of Jameson in one setting. Am I proud of that? Not so much, but that's what we do. Fireball, though, I cannot stand it. It's disgusting. How that started was back in 2016 when Mania was at the Cowboy Stadium, which, by the way, I'm so happy they're coming back next year. we did a show for Terry Funk early in that afternoon before WrestleMania had started. And after our matches, one of the boys came back with pretty much a tray full of fireball shots and handed me one. I was like, I do not do fireball. It's disgusting. I was like, I don't want to do this. And everybody was like, come on, Mach, do fireball. And then Brent just starts yelling Mach really loud. Got the whole locker room to start yelling it really loud. I just took it just to get him to shut up. And so next year in Orlando, I'm there with a group of friends. We're at Kevin Nash's party, and one of which went up to the bar, and he was just like, "Hey, I'm gonna get a shot. What do y'all want?" And I just said anything but tequila. Sure as hell, he brings fireball shots. I'm like, okay, so I guess I'm doing fireball again another WrestleMania weekend. And so when Brent and I had discussed this, it's pretty much now just like a running joke where I have to do a fireball shot every WrestleMania weekend. I did one the year after in New Orleans, and it wrecked me. Um, really bad story. But yeah, and so it's just become a thing now, and Brent finds it hilarious, and it's just a running inside joke between him and I that I have to do every Mania weekend. And luckily this year, or I'm sorry, last year, I didn't have to do it because there was no WrestleMania party I was at or anything to do one. So there's that story.
What are Kevin Nash's WrestleMania parties like? That's pretty cool. You got invited to that.
I mean, they're great. I mean, it's very different. So there's two parties that are just parties. There's no real wrestling show that goes on there that I love to attend every Mania weekend. And it's Wale Mania. That one typically happens on Thursday nights. Wale, everybody knows, is a huge wrestling fan. So he has like, a VIP list and like pretty much anybody who knows somebody in the wrestling industry. Sorry, I just saw Brent's comment. Anybody who knows somebody in the industry pretty much is allowed to like go there, and he has like a huge catering setup, open bar. He's performing on stage. It's a huge nightclub where wrestling fans or just Wale fans like go and attend. But as wrestlers, we typically like go in the back in the VIP area and stuff. It's just a huge blast. Kevin Nash is more on like the Irish pub style. Like he usually gets like an Irish pub or just like a well lit bar. Again, has a VIP section, and he does sell tickets for it. But again, the VIP section, it's one of those you got to know somebody, and all these wrestlers are hanging out, just celebrating the business. It's a fun time, where it's later on at night, everybody's decompressing from having, a match. Some people have 5 matches in a day on those weekends, like they beat themselves up. So it's just really nice to be able to hang out, see people you haven't seen in probably since the year before, or maybe even a few years prior, and just have a good time.
Did I hear you say that you and Brent did a show for Terry Funk?
Mm-hmm.
Terry Funk is still running promotions?
He, it was just like, I don't know if he's ran any shows since, but he ran like this barbecue show. Like I said, it started like 11 o'clock in the afternoon, WrestleMania Sunday. And yeah, he just a bunch of barbecue and fans, and just, it was nice being able to wrestle the afternoon of Mania. And again, I don't know how many other shows he's ran then, but it was kind of just like a spot show. And I think it's because WrestleMania was in Texas, is why he did that. But yeah, it was a fun time. I enjoyed myself.
What do you think about Terry Funk starting February 27th in Carthage, Texas? He's going to be part of the matchmaking team of SWE Fury and also appearing for the company.
I'm really excited about it. I've met him a handful of times. He is such a sweetheart. And to have somebody, I'm not that anybody isn't at his level when it comes to the SWE office. Everybody, it's good to have another great support at SWE for sure.
Now, Bronwyn Jewel Billington, the Dynamite Kid's daughter, says, when will you come to Calgary so we can meet and throw back some whiskey? I guess you two know each other.
Yes, we do. I've met her and a lot of people through, the Hart family and whatnot. Amazing people. Bronwyn, I would love to throw back some whiskey. You're gonna have to come to Texas for that, though. I'm not gonna lie. Canada doesn't really like me, so. But definitely, we need to hang out soon. You need to come to Dallas for Mania weekend. let's party, let's hang out.
Yeah, Dallas, the Dallas area is hosting it next year, which is pretty cool. And I could see SWE doing something special for that since SWE is blowing up right now.
Oh yeah, I'd be surprised if we didn't, but I know they're smart enough to know that it's a prime weekend to capitalize on. I never really realized how big of a deal WrestleMania was until it was in Dallas back in 16, and I just had made it a point every year since to just, if I have to fly myself out there, I don't care. To try to get as many bookings as I can, WrestleCon appearances, just to network and, like I said, go to these parties and meet people. A lot of the um, closest relationships I've had with these people who live in other states or who are on TV or whatever have been through networking on those weekends. It's it just amazes me, and anybody that I have maybe like potentially like that I could potentially help that are starting to break into this business. That's the one thing I tell them. I was like, WrestleMania weekend, like be there. Like even if you don't get it match, who cares? If you have to pay for your own hotel, who cares? Like I've done it. Um, I was so excited to see that Mania was coming back next year because A, I don't have to fly or get a hotel because I live here. But B is just it's my favorite weekend of the year. It's like Christmas to me. I love it. And for SWE or 360 or MPX or any promotion to capitalize on everybody being here, whether it be using talent that's being flown in or, just networking and advertising, is just it's the best thing to do on those weekends and just to have fun too. It's great.
Bird Poop Daddy says, what do you prefer, AEW or WWE?
Honestly, I don't really prefer one over the other. I mean, there's some things I like about WWE more than AEW and vice versa. Unfortunately, due to my shoot job, I don't really get to watch it as much as I'd like. To me, honestly, I enjoy watching it more so just because I have friends that are on both platforms. I enjoy watching them on TV. I enjoy watching what they're doing. I like I'm more biased towards WWE just because it's what I grew up watching. You know what I mean? But AEW, I like the freedom that they have, as opposed to WWE, but I understand why it's like that. I can't really say I favor one over the other, to be honest.
Now, you have had a match on AEW Dark, I believe, when they came to Dallas in 2019. I've seen the pictures of that. I didn't see the match yet, but what was that experience like?
I've never been so nervous in my life. Like, oh my God, like it's wild. It was so wild just wrestling in front of all those people. Um, I just remember they had asked for four men and two females, and they had me and the other female tie up in the ring. When we showed up and everything, they're like, "We definitely need a girl. We don't know if we need any guys for anything, but we definitely need a female to go against Brett Baker." And I'm like, "Okay." So me and the other girl locked up, and just so they can see some footwork and see how we do on our basics, blah blah blah. And I kind of knew that they were going to choose me, just because the girl that I was in the ring with, she is a larger set woman. There's no way that how enhancement matches work. You can't have somebody of her size and stature and her strength lose to Britt Baker, right? So that was the psychology out of my head. I was like, I know they're going to choose me. They're going to choose me, and they did. Um, and just I was so nervous. Like, just I've it's definitely the biggest match I've had in my career, absolutely. And just in front of, I think it was like 5 or 6 thousand people, I was like shaking in tears when I came back to the locker room, and like Dustin had to give me a hug and calm me down. He's like, "You did great," and it was a wonderful experience, and it was also wonderful because I heard my name in the crowd, and just getting that feedback was by far one of the best things. And on a personal note, it was actually the day my dad passed away, was December 11th. Not obviously that very day, but that was his death anniversary. And I just like felt like he kind of looked over me and like looked out for me and kind of like threw me a bone. He's like, here you go. Like, you know, it was like, it was just wonderful. I can't put it into words, honestly.
Does AEW and WWE pay similar for extra work?
They don't. It's completely different. Whenever you do extra work for WWE, they pay you no matter what you do, just for showing up, they'll pay you. And they pay you per show. So if you do pay-per-view, Raw and SmackDown, they'll pay you, for all 3 shows or just the 2 shows if it's not pay-per-view weekend. But they pay you the same rate. AEW pays you for what you do. I don't know if they've changed it now, but especially because they've been, with no crowd or anything like that. But when I worked for them, obviously they were still touring, they had crowds and everything. But they pay you based on what you do. So if you just showed up, you get X amount. If you did a match, you get this amount. That's how they do it, or at least that's how they did it when I worked for them.
That's interesting. What do you think about the recent influx of Texas female wrestlers into AEW Dark? It seems like they're constantly using Texas girls now for those dark tapings.
Yeah, it's great. Honestly, it's like kind of putting us on the map. It's taken a while because when I broke into wrestling, like even just as a ballet, women's wrestling wasn't really appreciated as much. It was still kind of like a what is it, like special attraction, right? It was what a lot of people that I still see call it, which is unfortunate, and very small-minded, the bathroom break matches. So to see women's wrestling involved like that and having these schools now and these shows here in Texas and all over that are just catered towards women, and seeing more intergender wrestling where it's like, it's just a wrestling match. Like I actually just posted some clips on my Instagram the other day with Brent and I tagging, and it was a tag match and I was the only female. Just seeing that become more of a regular thing, whether you agree with it or not, is amazing to me. And so seeing wrestling and being a female wrestler being a cool thing again, and seeing it grow so much over the last 10 years being involved, it's amazing to finally see the hard work all of us women have put in to pave that way, at least in the independents or on TV, like getting shown for, and to see all these Texas women just killing it, whether it be for AEW or, getting signed with WWE or anything like that. Like, it's amazing. It's great. Like, it makes me excited, honestly.
I'd love to see you and Brent have an intergender match. That would be hilarious. But have you had many in your career?
I have had a lot, more than I can say, honestly. Like, that's one thing Metroplex Wrestling has done a lot for me, was just, or anybody really, they don't, they've had women hold their heavyweight title. They've had women hold their tag team titles, which I have. Most of the men I've wrestled have been definitely for them. A promotion I started off with in Austin did the same for me. I would say easily half the matches I've wrestled, or at least a third, have been with men, whether it's been tag matches or singles matches or triple threat matches. And it's fun. Honestly, I love it. Like, obviously, like doing a singles match with Brent, considering his size and his strength, he would hate doing it, honestly, because I know he even told you this in y'all's interview that I watched, and he doesn't believe in intergender wrestling, and I agree to an extent. But I have wrestled men who weren't that much bigger than me, you know, and I've seen women fight off men like in real life, and it's possible. It's believable. At least in my eyes, it's believable that women can kick ass. And it's fun for me to do. I love it.
Do you have any actual martial arts experience? I notice you do a lot of kicks in your matches, I should say.
I mean, I've done a handful of training sessions, like in MMA classes and whatnot. But no, not really. Nothing heavy. Nothing to brag about. I haven't done any real, like, MMA matches or fights or any martial arts fights, or no background at all.
Do you work a lot on your flexibility? Because I notice you're doing a lot of face kicks to certain wrestlers.
I stretch quite a bit. I think stretching is really important. So I stretch a lot, even if I don't really find myself working out, usually in the morning. I'll even just like stretch on my mattress a bit. Just that's pretty much it. I stretch a lot before my matches as well. Try to get loose, limber. That's pretty much it. I just have a high reach, I guess.
Someone's asking as you take a sip of your coffee, how much coffee do you drink in a day?
Honestly, just this one. But there's 4 shots of espresso in it, so yeah, I drink one of these a day.
I'm gonna put up some of your pictures because I know you're losing out on wrestling money right now. So I copied some of your shirt pictures here. Where can fans pick up your merch if they want to support you?
The only stream I have right now of merchandise at the moment is going to be that photo you just put up, the Pro Wrestling Tees. If you just look up Machiko, it'll pull up. But I believe it's prowrestlingtees.com/Machi Slams. Otherwise, I do usually have like Venmo or PayPal for photos. So I can definitely take that as well. I think I have a pinned tweet on my Twitter account that's going to show all the photos I have available. Oh, see, boom, see, you got it. And usually on those photos, I do $10 each on 8x10s or 3 for $25. I do have some stickers as well that I charge like $3 for. They're not super big, but they're really cute. So I usually throw in some stickers too with photos. That's an old one.
Oh,
That's a very old one. God, not for sale.
Oh, you stopped selling those?
That's so old. You did that as a rib, didn't you?
Actually, I saw it on your Facebook. I wouldn't have seen that if you hadn't talked to me on Facebook today.
Oh, way to go. But
let's put it up one more time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no.
What's that tattoo, by the way? Is that a scorpion?
It's a bull. Oh man, I can't. I've added onto it. It's a bull. You can tell it's more of a bull, like if you see it like full forward. I guess you can kind of see it through the shirt. But I am a Taurus, so I got the poppies added because that's like the flower of the Taurus. So it's a zodiac tattoo, basic white girl stuff. I plan on making it a half sleeve, but I haven't gotten to that yet.
And you have some other tattoos too. Could you tell us about this colorful one on your arm here? It's pretty.
That's the one I just explained, actually.
Oh, you filled it in since then.
Yeah, and I plan on filling it in more. I have the Roman numeral tattoo on the inside of my arm as well. And then I have this one right here, which is my dad's family crest. Me and my sister got these on Father's Day last year. She has hers on her back. I have a Yu-Gi-Oh tattoo on the back of my neck. And I have a Pokemon on my foot. That was the first one I got actually when I was 16. It's a friendship tattoo. But that covers it as far as all my ink so far. I need more.
Yeah, Pokemon, I don't think they're still around, are they? Or is it still as popular as it used to be?
Not as popular as it used to be, but it's still around. I still have a bunch of friends that play that Pokemon Go, but I got this when I was 16 with an old best friend of mine who ended up moving out to Chattanooga. She came to visit, and my brother did these because he used to do tattoos. He gave us these friendship tattoos, and I'm happy to say her and I still talk sometimes. I haven't seen her in a while, though. But yeah, it was the most painful one, though, because it's on my foot, and it's not a fun place to get any ink. But yeah, that one gets questioned a lot.
Now, I'm not sure how tall you are, but you look pretty jacked in some of those pictures. The fans always like to know what your best bench press, deadlift, and squat would be.
I'm 5'7", and I don't bench heavy at all. I separated my shoulder a few years ago, so it's really hard to do any like push movements with, like I can do like shoulder workouts, but pushing forward, like when it comes to push-ups or, bench or anything like that, it's very difficult. So I don't try to do a heavy bench at all. Squats, honestly, the same. I don't really do I do hack squats when I want to train my quads. The heaviest I've gone on that, which again, this was pre-COVID, so I don't even want to know how much I can hack squat now, was 365, I believe. And then deadlifts, I've gotten deadlifts again. I don't really go too heavy on either because it hurts my lower back too much, and I'm a pansy. But I've done maybe up to like 150 on that. I would say my back is one of my strongest body parts too, and I've been able to do a 150-pound lat pull. I was able to do about 15 to 20 pull-ups in a row. That's pretty much it. Everything else just kind of like fair weight.
Now, there's a bunch of fans with questions on here that I'll try and squeeze in. Someone wants to know, have you wrestled modern day Moolah Malaya Hosaka?
I have not.
Fury Diva.
No, I have not.
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
Mm-mm.
That would be interesting. Both of you have the Asian look going for you. Jamie Wilson wants to know what football team you support.
Dallas Cowboys, unfortunately. Always the Cowboys, though. They're my team.
Mop Shop wants to know your Mount Rushmore of wrestlers.
I mean, my personal Mount Rushmore of wrestlers would have to be Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Eddie Guerrero, my top 4.
What about females?
Females?
Yeah.
Like I said, Trish, Lita, Victoria, and this might be a biased one, but it's not even biased because she is definitely one of the best, Natalya.
Oh, yeah, she's up there for sure. Brent, by the way, says that you'd beat him if you guys were to have a match.
Only because he would allow it.
Josh wants to know if you'd ever wrestle for Great North Wrestling, which is our company up here in Canada. You said you're not very well liked in Canada, so.
Yeah, I'm just not allowed there. I'm just not allowed there because they're very finicky on who they allow into the country, and I guess I'm deemed too much of a criminal. So,
yeah, it's incredibly strict here in Canada. It's actually a little bit ridiculous, and now we don't allow any Americans. Some snuck in here a couple months ago saying they were driving to Alaska, but they were actually vacationing here, and it made national news.
Oh, you serious?
It's pretty sad.
Yeah.
For people that want to follow you on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, where can they find you?
Twitter and Instagram, both the same handle. It's Machi_slams. I try to keep it simple. That's also my email, machi_slams@yahoo.com, for bookings, merchandise inquiries, interviews, anything like that. And my Facebook is just Machiko-san. It's a personal page. It's not, I don't have a like page. I should probably have a like page, but I don't. But I can be reached there as well when it comes to, again, merch inquiries, interview questions, bookings and whatnot. I do have it filtered where I can at least, y'all can still see when I post flyers and where I'm going to be and whatnot, assuming I'm not in Facebook jail, because for some reason that keeps happening. And that's where you can reach me at.
Yeah, Facebook is getting weird with punishment.
Yeah, I understand. I will joke around with friends, and I literally called somebody a dimwit as a joke, to a friend of mine, and they flagged me and banned me for 30 days. And I'm just like, are you serious? And I see way worse on Facebook, and I'm just like, I can't even jaw jack with my friends without them thinking I'm actually insulting them or insulting somebody else. And then they flag me, and boom, I can't post for 30 days. So that's why I was worried about messaging you earlier today, because I was like, man, I can't add him on Facebook. So hopefully he sees my message and doesn't just get thrown in the junk box. So yeah, I'm glad he actually opened the message and that we made this happen. But yeah, Facebook is insane, but my messenger still works. So again, you can reach out to me there as well.
Danny wants to know who pops into your mind first for your favorite matches with males that you've had in intergender as well as females. Who was your favorite opponents?
One of my favorite opponents would definitely be my best friend, Lainey. We've wrestled a couple times together. She, I would say the match we had for Booker T, we had 2 matches together. One for Booker T's promotion in Houston, ROW. We also had one in Nova Pro in Virginia, and that was actually the first one we had. Our chemistry is great. You know, it's nothing's more nerve-wracking than wrestling your best friend for the first time. Because you know, if you mess up on something, she's gonna call you out in the back. She's gonna be like, and you're never gonna hear the end of it. But luckily, we've had pretty solid matches both times. I'm actually wearing her shirts, which I think they're sold out, but I swear this is a bomb design. Anyways, um, another favorite match I had in mind, which I wish there was footage of it, was a match I had against Sue Young. She's also a really good friend of mine, and she's actually going to be at SWE on February 6th, which I am like really excited about. She and I had a no DQ match for NAWA a couple years back, and it was insane. Like we like had foam swords. It was like at this like VFW type like Elks Lodge kind of venue, and there was like a kitchen nearby. So she walked into the kitchen with a cookie tray and had cookies on it, and this like a chef's bib on and a chef's hat on her undead bride, by the way, gimmick with the face paint and everything. And it just wild. She got dropped hold in a pile of wet cat food. Like there was thumbtacks. It was insane. One of my favorite matches by far. And intergender matches, honestly, I can't really pinpoint one. They've all been really fun. Again, tagging with Brent is a great time. I would say probably one of my favorite ones I had with him was, and I feel bad for it, but it was him and I against Punch Drunk Love, and it was like it's Stephen Kirby and Baby D. They like reunited and did it was like the reunion from Punch Drunk Love, but we got thrown in last minute and we kind of took that away from them, which I felt bad. And another tag team, Lizzie Thorne and Dave Sagan. So it was a triple threat intergender tag match, and it was really fun. Like just having one male and one female, and just the whole match. I had a great time. So yeah, as far as intergender wrestling goes, I would say anything with Brent McKenzie. Honestly, it's been great. One of my favorite matches, I would say as well, was at Gas Monkey. I got to tag against Victoria, which was probably one of the biggest moments in my career so far. Because again, like I said, she's one of my favorites, and just being able to be in the ring with her. And it was a last minute call too. I was supposed to wrestle in a singles match against another local talent, but then he came into the back. It was like, things have changed. Y'all are going to be in a tag match against Victoria and Rachel Ellering. And I'm like, what? And I took her widow's peak and everything. And it was just like, her and I became friends after that match. And I would have to say, like, that was just, I was shook just being able to wrestle somebody that I grew up watching. So yeah, I would say top of my head, those would be some of my favorite moments in matches and opponents I've had over the years.
Yeah, I also found this picture of you and Brent. I think that's from behind the scenes at a wrestling show. He seems to like to pick you up. There's a lot of pictures on social media. But you mentioned Victoria was pretty cool to wrestle growing up watching her. Is there any other famous divas you've been in the ring with?
No. As far as like from growing up and back in the day, I can't recall. I mean, you're right, Brent. But no, I would say she was definitely the top one. I mean, there's definitely been other people I've been in the ring with who've, built their own legacy and stuff like that. Like Lufisto was definitely one of them. But as far as like anybody, WWE, I can't know.
Lufisto is actually our champion here in Great North Wrestling here in Canada.
Oh, yeah.
So there's supposed to be, maybe once the restrictions loosen, I know Tom's been talking about possibly having some inter-promotional matches. So maybe she could appear in SWE Fury in the future. You never know. But you mentioned that you did some hardcore matches. What's it like doing that kind of wrestling?
I haven't really, I mean, I've done, quite a bit of hardcore stuff, as I guess you could say, but nothing ever too extreme. Like, there's a few things I have no interest in doing. I love you too, Bear. A lot. That's my friend, the guy who just commented, Ricky Bear. He was actually the one that booked me on my very first show as a valet. So I owe him the world. I love that guy to death. But anywho, as far as hardcore stuff goes, I've done a little bit of it. There's a lot of things I have no interest in doing, like light tubes and barbed wire. There's just certain things I'm like, it's a little too much. Don't want to do that, but I have. Um, I've done kendo stick shots, chair shots, the thumbtacks I've done. In that match with Su Young, actually, I was the one trying to set her up to take it, but then we ended up reversing whatnot. She sidewalk slammed me on them. But what sucked about it was that I went to the bar and grabbed 2 shots of tequila and limes, and I poured it in the pitcher of thumbtacks. So I landed on tequila-soaked thumbtacks, and that sucked. But yeah, like it's fun to do it. I don't desire to do it too much. Nothing against women who do it a lot. It's just one of those things. If you kind of get known for something like that, then you get booked for it. And again, I'm not. I don't think it's bad at all. I just don't want to beat my. I'm a pansy. I don't want to get beat up too much. But they're fun. They're great.
Brent mentioned to me that you've also wrestled in London over in the UK. What was that experience like?
It was great. I've been there twice for the same company. They're no longer running, unfortunately. But I got to. There's a local promotion here. Very much no. There's a local promotion here that named they go by SOAR Championship Wrestling. They actually cross promoted with BEW out in London, and I got to defend my SOAR Women's title out there the first time around. They liked me enough to bring me back a few months later, and it was just wonderful. Like I got to meet a lot of fans and people that I had known like through social media for a few years. It was really great to finally see them, and just that country is so beautiful. Like I cannot wait to go back. It was a great experience for sure. Just to be able to like, it's one thing to wrestle in a different state, but like just a whole other country. It's like making memories everywhere and just meeting people from all over the world and just seeing a different lifestyle out there. And um, I can't wait to do it again. I can't wait to go to other places like Japan or um, even Canada if God allows it. It's just an experience that I was so happy to do. I had waited. I couldn't leave the country for a few years. So to be able to finally do that and to finally just get the ball rolling on like doing what I've been held back on doing, like it was just one hell of an experience.
Bryce Boudreau, the SWE Fury ring announcer, says you were in the very first SWE women's match against Miranda Gordy, which I think is actually on this channel. That is pretty cool, isn't it? And you've had quite a feud with Miranda over the years. Could you talk about that feud?
Well, I mean, she has a lot of potential. Don't get me wrong. I mean, just with her name alone, um, our feud. I feel like it's great because she again has all the potential because of her name and everything like that. But for me, it's like, well, I've been. I feel like I'm that brick wall that's kind of like, calm down, like slow your roll because there's people who've still been around longer than you. So don't get too proud of yourself and don't hold your dad's name, and just be like, oh, I'm a Gordy. It's like, cool. I've been around long enough and I'm more experienced. Don't ride those coattails necessarily. You still got a lot to learn. And I feel like that's why I've been put in place for her so far at SWE. And it's been one hell of an experience, and I look forward to continuing it.
And you got to be tough if you're wrestling her because I've seen some of those forearm smashes and those are pretty hard hitting. Dan, the man, wants to know what's the best highlight of your career so far?
I I mean, pretty much what we brushed over. I would say AEW for sure. Um, and then probably London, honestly. Like again, I when I broke in, like I mentioned earlier, when I broke into wrestling, women's wrestling wasn't as progressive yet. Um, Not that it's not like this in any other like city or territory or whatnot, but in the DFW area when I broke in, it was very just like when women were to break in, and it was always like, oh, who's she hooking up with? Or, a lot of girls who broke in, it was just kind of like, oh, she's just somebody's girlfriend. If they ever broke up, she's gone. So a lot of people, like, I didn't have a lot of people that believed in me when I first broke in. So, um, to be able to stick it through and, just, continue to bust my ass, obviously with a lot of mistakes along the way, but who doesn't make those? Um, to be able to finally just be able to wrestle in front of 6,000 people on a, worldwide platform, to be able to go out to London and finally be able to make things happen, and the whole titles and everything like that. Like, it's really nice to have those achievements and just be like, I'm still here, guys. And then have a lot of them too come around and be like, wow, I didn't think you'd still be doing this. I'm like, well, like, now they want to come around and be like, oh, I'm so proud of you. It's like, well, you didn't believe in me before. So I would say, like, that's my own personal achievement, is giving the big FU to those who essentially bullied me when I broke in. But yeah, again, just those two accomplishments, especially happening within a 6-month period, before COVID hit, was really great.
And yeah, COVID has been brutal on all of us, and I encourage everyone to support you through your merchandise to help you get through COVID. Someone is pointing out that your birthday is the same birthday as the city of Rome, which I guess is pretty cool. And
that.
another fun fact, and Danny wants to know what your dream match would be with anyone currently in WWE, and would you prefer to be face or heel in that match?
I have top two. So, and honestly, this one, I think I'd prefer to be a heel, and that would be against Ember Moon. Fun fact, my very first singles match was actually with her. And, well, she was known as Athena, obviously, when she was on the Indies, and she was my very first match. So to be able to have that rematch, two girls from Dallas, like, on the biggest stage of them all, would be amazing. That's always something I really wanted to do. I think I would rather be a heel against her. This match in particular, I'd really like it'd be like a face against face, like a tween match, and that would be against Natalia. That's another dream match of mine. Absolutely.
Yeah, Natalia is one of the top females in the business. Before we go here, I'll just put up your picture one more time for your official store on Pro Wrestling Tees, and then there's these ones that you'll autograph to people, I imagine, if they contact you. And you can say your social media again if you want to let people know. This one, by the way, just to remind people, it's off the market.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Yeah, my Twitter and Instagram is machi_slams. Same with my email at yahoo.com. Facebook is just Machiko-san. Again, I cannot post or add people at the moment, but you can always reach out to me on Messenger. That is still intact. But yeah, again, machi_slams on both Instagram and Twitter is your best bet to see recent posts, photos, videos, to interact and whatnot. Yeah.
And people in the Dallas area can come and meet you at the SWE Fury event coming up in just a few weeks, February the 6th. They've added now Lacey Von Erich to the women's division, Shaul Guerrero, Amber Nova's coming in, I believe, for the next one. You mentioned some other ladies. What do you think about the emphasis on the women's division now in SWE? And James Beard even mentioned in the SWE Inside SWE podcast with me last night, there's going to be a women's TV title. So they're really like pushing this women's division right now.
I think it's very, I enjoy what they're doing with it, because I enjoy that they're bringing in women from all over and yet still utilizing the local talent that they do have. I feel like that's always smart for a promotion to do. I see a lot of promotions just book top to bottom cards of just all these fly-ins and all these superstars and whatnot. And it's like, but with SWE, there's a really good balance of having people from all over or people who are on TV balanced with the local talent, because it gives us something different to play with. that's why for me, I'm not really wrestling too much right now, just because it's me wrestling against people I've already wrestled 50,000 times in most cases. But SWE is doing a really good job at being able to supply us local talent with people from all over, because that's how you learn. You learn by um, somebody somebody else's different style, or their experience or their exposure, because they have fans from Florida or New York or wherever it is they're coming from. Following them to Texas. So it's not just them coming to Texas, their fan base, and they're following us too. And we reap the benefits of it. So I'm very excited for the SWE women's division and how it's growing right now.
Is there anyone in particular? Obviously, you have a few going with Miranda still, but is there anyone in particular you'd like to wrestle from the SWE roster?
I was really excited about Lindsay Snow being in there, but obviously I think she got hurt. She's not going to be there at the moment. Correct me if I'm wrong. However, a rematch with Sue would be great again. I've wrestled Chrissy Janes a lot, and her being the current champion at the moment. Um, when I come back, is she still going to be champion? I don't know. Um, I would like to get that belt off her. Jazz is also somebody. Probably the biggest target I have right now is Jazz. I need a match with her before she's retired for good. Like, I would love to wrestle her. That would be a huge highlight of my career, is to have an opportunity with her for sure.
Well, she's head of the women's division. She's a big reason why it's doing so well right now in SWE. So hopefully that works out for you guys. But I'll let you wrap this up however you want. Thanks a lot for coming on. I suggest people look her up on YouTube. She's a great wrestler.
Thank you so much. Yeah, definitely look me up on YouTube. Again, my social media handles are Machi_slams on Twitter, Instagram, Machiko-san on Facebook. Yeah, reach out to me. Buy a t-shirt off my pro wrestling tees, or, shoot a message, whatever it is you want to do. Follow me. I post a lot of videos and photos of my cats, and they're super adorable. So if it's going to be worth anything, it's at least worthy for that. So
thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe